What do you think about TAP?
Take another plane.
What do you think about Lisbon Airport?
Leave from another city.
In this video we're going to talk about Lisbon Airport and TAP Air because there's so much to talk about. We go through Lisbon Airport all the time and we travel with TAP Air all the time because we have to. Because of this one. We used to fly TAP all the time and we still do. But the last flights, many flights, we've been delayed non-stop. And here's the breakdown. The last 2 times we arrived in Copenhagen, our luggage didn't arrive until 3 and 4 days later. The last flight to Copenhagen from Funchal was a complete disaster. First, our plane to Copenhagen was 4 hours delayed in Lisbon. And at the gate, we were rejected boarding by a TAP employee. The reason was we didn't board our flight from Funchal to Lisbon, which was true since we were already in Lisbon. We had already checked in Lara and our suitcase and received our boarding pass in Lisbon Airport without any issues, so it was incredibly uncomfortable to be rejected boarding, making us miss Christmas in Denmark.
It was only because of a kind TAP employee who recognized us from YouTube that he convinced the highly disgruntled TAP lady that we were okay to board. Upon arrival in Copenhagen, our suitcase didn't arrive. It took 4 days before we got it. On our way back, our flight from Lisbon to Funchal was delayed 4 hours yet again. Every single time we have friends or family flying into Madeira, they are delayed. My grandparents in August, Jon's brother in September, our shamans in February, and our friends in March. It's without exception, and it's because they all are connecting in Lisbon Airport.
And then 4 days ago, we flew from Madeira to Lisbon. And our flight was actually on time, but we waited 90 minutes for our luggage, along with Cristiano Ronaldo's sister, who was also very disgruntled. Good girl! Right at the entrance, Lara.
Perfect.
We used to love flying with TAP.
Yes, we used to. All the girls are going crazy, but Lara, go say hi.
Oh, it was actually one of our favorite airlines in Europe back in 2018 when we moved here. But since COVID, it has just gotten like exponentially worse because every single trip from here is delayed. I don't know how it works exactly if TAP also runs this airport. But it is the main hub for TAP, just like Qatar has Doha, British Airways has London, and so on. TAP has been in financial despair since 2020 and still is. The Portuguese government has made numerous bailouts with billions of euros. Even the EU has bailed out TAP. And yet somehow TAP is still a hot mess. We have several friends working as TAP cabin crew and the conditions are not great. It's non-stop overtime and without being compensated. And if this is general for the employees of TAP, you can't help sympathize with not feeling happy and motivated to provide a good service. I gotta say, the check-in was fast and smooth and almost no people here, which is unusual. Daily they are at 2x of the capacity the airport was built for. And that's why every single plane is delayed. Let me show you how crazy the delays are. So, Lyon, 1 hour and 30 minutes. Tel Aviv, 45 minutes. Barcelona, 1 hour and 15 minutes. Valencia, 2 hours. Brussels, 50 minutes. Rome, 40 minutes. Florence, 1 hour and 13 minutes. London, 1 hour. Toulouse, 40 minutes. Madrid, 1 hour and 15. Faro. You get the point. TAP was even fined recently for consistent delays out of the US. This is for you, Daddy. We have access to this lounge here. It's 28 euros per person via our Revolut membership. Not cheap, but our flight to Copenhagen is scheduled to 6:50, which is in 1 hour and 30 minutes. But it'll probably be an hour delayed, so we'll have plenty of time to enjoy it here. That one is 1 hour and 15 minutes delayed. It's not so much the airport itself that's a problem. I actually really like Lisbon Airport, but the problem is that it was built for tourism 20 years ago. The politicians and noblemen have been talking about making a new airport for the last 15 years. Nothing is happening. I actually also like TAP still, but only when you are in the actual plane. It's getting to the plane and out of the plane and getting your luggage that is the whole problem. We went to Cancun business class last year and it was an amazing experience. It's boarding time. I can't believe it. Final call. And we are kind of on time. We were in fact on time, but as boarding was complete, we had to sit another 30 minutes in the plane before taking off, due to runway congestion.
I told you not to count our blessings too early.
The 4-hour trip to Copenhagen was smooth and nice, although TAP is no longer putting us together on the flight. We used to always get seats next to each other, but now we get random seats every time. I wonder if my dad is here. Hi, Pa. Is this your first time in snow? I mean, the view is not terrible. But it is freezing. Compared to what was about to happen next, this felt like a visit to our local spa palace. We didn't film any of it as we were absolutely stunned by the treatment we received when boarding our plane at gate B9.
Now, this wasn't a TAP employee, but a SAS passenger service coordinator. SAS and TAP are part of Star Alliance. Normally, it's very uneventful at the gate. They scan your boarding pass and you enter the plane. This time was different. The SAS employee told us we were not allowed a carry-on when traveling with a pet. She also said that even without a pet, you can only bring one piece of luggage weighing max 8 kilos. According to TAP's own rules, you can bring a carry-on of max 10 kilos and a small personal item. She confused the in-cabin luggage rules with the max weight of Lada, including her bag, which is 8 kilos.
She even said I couldn't bring my camera I was holding in my hand. Anyway, the plane was half empty and we had specifically brought only carry-on, so we didn't have to risk another 90 minutes waiting by the luggage belt. We asked her where these new rules can be found, as we fly TAP with Lara more than 10 times a year. She couldn't show us anything and rejected when we showed TAP's own rules that nowhere mentioned this. She got so aggressive that she threatened with denying us boarding. It was surreal. We were very calm and honestly just confused why she would make up these rules. We eventually agreed to add a carry-on to the hold luggage and proceeded to board. We are the last to board the plane, and as the plane is half empty, we asked the stewardess if we can take one of the 8 free rows instead of our designated seats in the very back of the plane. She says sure, and we take our seats.
Then this SAS woman comes into the plane and starts harassing us for not sitting in our designated seats. Again, she threatened us to throw us off the plane as we calmly told her we were allowed to sit here. Then she proceeded to argue with the, by the way, nice stewardess for 10 minutes, literally holding back the plane. We were absolutely shocked, and immediately as the plane took off, we wrote a long complaint that we later filed to SAS.
This is of course not coined on TAP per se, but it was part of our experience flying with TAP. And since we recently had an episode with a TAP lady also denying us boarding in Lisbon airport, there seems to be a trend. And all this likely goes back to constant pressure from management with too much overtime and little to no appreciation for their daily hustle. Either way, the end result is not good for us customers. You're not you when you're thirsty.
That's true.
We are so happy that that kind lady in Copenhagen airport checked in our carry-on on a plane half empty. And now we wait. For how long? We will find out. Some people, they need a hug. She was one of them. First suitcase. Wow. Can you believe it, Amalia?
So happy. I thought she would literally just throw it out.
So we're back in Lisbon after fairly turbulent flight, figuratively speaking. But to end this video, I think the real question is, how does TAP return to the greatness of 2018? Firstly, a new airport has to be done and has to be ready yesterday. But also management has to be swapped, and I think the real solution is to privatize TAP. Government-owned airlines, I mean, there just is a trend that they don't really run so smoothly. Lufthansa, British Airways, SAS, all great examples of highly dysfunctional airlines. I don't think the Portuguese people will appreciate another bailout by the government, because I heard that the Portuguese government has paid more money in bailouts for TAP than COVID packages for the humans of this country.